This podcast is sponsored by Intentional Living magazine, your ultimate guide created to help infuse purpose and passion into your everyday life. From expert features that provide valuable insights to thought-provoking content that sparks transformation. This magazine and online platform is a perfect source of inspiration for those who truly believe in the power of intentional choices. In this episode, we are talking about juggling balls.
You love a ball.
I love. You've got some on the back of your head.
I've got some balls around the back of my head.
But yeah, the main point about this is because we're always talking about this with clients, family, and friends. That in today's modern world, we are juggling so many balls or activities or whatever you want to call it, and we really wanted to have some honest conversations about the things that we've juggled in our past and how we can. Some tips around how we can juggle the balls that are important to us and let some of the others drop rather than trying to do everything all of the time.
Without guilt. Without blame. With intention. Mm-hmm. And without what? Pain.
Without blame.
Blame?
You know, because you can be pretty angry. This is just an intro to an episode now and we're going on to another podcast. So
all right,
check this episode out, Juggling Everything in Modern Day Life. Can we just talk about the juggle?
We can.
And modern day stress, parenting, and the juggling of all of the things.
It's a tricky one, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I did a post about it last night, actually. And I think what society expects us to do when we have children is work like we don't have them. Yet we're expected to parent like we don't have a job either. Mm-hmm. And so that juggle is blooming real, really, really real. And it creates a level of stress for so many people.
So could you tell us a little bit about your journey? Because me and you obviously talk about this all of the time because we are supporting women and men, but mainly women, because we can obviously empathise with being a modern day mum, a modern day businesswoman, a modern day carer, of obviously parents or people in the family, as well as all of the other things that we play. So I've talked about this before in previous conversations and podcasts around the glass balls. Have you heard of that one?
What, him outside Lewis's?
No, it's not Dickie Lewis outside Lewis's now. But this analogy of if you look at all of the tasks or all of the people that you have to look after as glass balls, and they are very delicate and protected, which one of those glass balls will drop? Because if you continually...
Wow, well, for me, they all went crashing down, didn't they? And we've talked about that in the first episode, so I'm not going to go over it again. But
tell us about your journey with the juggle of being a modern day parent and a modern day businesswoman.
Okay, I've worked from the day dot, right? I've worked from age 17, and I've not been driven. I have been driving. Mm-hmm. And that's based on my belief system, and that comes from, again, what we talked about before. But I'm always striving to be the best at anything I was striving to be the best at everything that I could possibly be. So working, I won the awards, and that was kind of easy. It was hard work, but that's what I was made to work hard, because there was a need to be recognised as good enough. So, and I also worked in a really male-dominated industry. Mm-hmm. So,
what was the industry?
I worked in the automotive industry, and I remember my boss at the time when he inherited me, and I was working so hard, and he said, "If you can bring this deal in, you'll really prove that you can do this." I was like that. What you on about? I've already done it. But he was surrounded by a load of yes men.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I lived down south then. So you can imagine I was like I was like dropping a bomb in the middle of them all.
And when was this? So
this was when I left the episode, 1997. So when I was 27.
Okay.
And then I worked...
So Jules, Northern woman, gets dropped in London into the automotive industry.
Yeah. Boom. Have that. So that was fine until... And then obviously I had my first son. He's 22 now. And that threw me, because he didn't come with a manual. He didn't come with an operating procedure. I didn't have any family around me. And so that really threw me, because how could I be brilliant at that when I didn't know what I was doing? And obviously there's a built-in innate need to care for your child. And I absolutely did. But he bloody cried I'm telling you, he cried morning, noon and night. And I remember at the time we literally took it in turns to sleep, and we just have to walk around with him. Anyway, it turned out that after like 5 months, he had, I took him to a cranial osteopath, and there was something that when he'd gone through the birth canal that hadn't gone back properly. So every time we lay him down, it was pressing on the nerve in the back of his neck. So he was in agony. But then that got him into the routine of never sleeping. Anyway, long story short, he didn't sleep till he was 5. It was like, seriously. So we had all that.
So in that time, when did you go back to work? Because again, I'm going back to, so you've had 12 weeks, you've had the baby, he's crying, you're back at work after 12 weeks.
I was calling the nursery that I'd booked him into, saying, please take him. If I could have done it 6 weeks, I would have done.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh my God, I just thought, let me get back into something that I know how to do and do well. Anyway, I managed to juggle it, but it was tough. And the work don't expect anything less from you, and you've still got to deliver, and you've still got to be performing. And I used to feel like, and I have been, what's the word? I have been the person that's judged before, where the people that turn the computer off at 2 minutes to 5 and are out of the door. And I think, wow, look at them just buggering off.
Yeah.
But actually, they've got it right.
Yeah.
They've absolutely got it right. But the higher up the ladder you go, the less the terms and conditions of your employment really matter. And so you'd work, till whatever time. So I'd have to go and do the collection from the nursery and then probably start work. It's very similar experience to you. And that carried on. And then when Alf was 5.5, we had Gracie, and Mark had his own business then. I was still working, and literally the time that we had at home it just became another workplace. Yeah. And it hit when the kids said, can we just not talk about work for a change? It was like, wow, okay.
How old were they when they said that to you?
So Alf will have been about 8 or 9.
Wow.
Yeah, and Gracie's like 5 years younger.
So have you two been sitting there with your laptops at home, or?
Always working, always, because it was part and part. Everything went into the business. So it was part and parcel of their growing up. And I'm glad, because what it's taught them is not to do the same.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And there's such a pressure from society for them to do the same, get on the treadmill and to earn the money and pay the debts and all of the rest of it. And one thing that they have learned through us, because we've both me and Mark have been burnt out, is that that's not a way to live. Mm-hmm. And so that's not the way that they're choosing to live their life. Mm-hmm. So, but we come across it all the time, don't we?
Yeah.
So you share your story. You were really juggling.
Yeah. So again, like you, we're going to do an episode, aren't we, on human design? But in my human design, I'm a generator. Jules is a manifesting generator. So we do have a lot of energy all of the time. However, it's about where we put that energy. And part of me, loving people, love being part of, being accepted by friends and having lots of friends was a big thing to me. And I used to say yes to a lot of things. So even from early on, I could probably from as far back as age 5 or 6, it was always, I would want people to like me. So I would say yes to doing things and helping people all the time. And then that obviously carried on into work, into school, and then into the work that I was doing, leading teams of people, project managing, and then saying yes to all of the tasks or all of the projects that you were given, because oh, well, Claire gets it done. So pass it to Claire and be like, yeah, I'll do it. And then inside it's like, oh my God, how much more can I say yes to? Because I am up to the brim with things. So, and then before the kids, so I was 30 when I had Josh. So prior to 30, I had that capacity to do all of that, as well as party, as well as go out every weekend and have people round to our house. It was the party house because that energy was there. And I was typically mostly with people that lit me up. So that was good friends. And then I had Josh. And you know the way women talk about baby brain and that you lose that focus because you're tired. Obviously, there's a hormonal thing going on, a chemical thing going on. And I noticed after about 3 or 4 months, when Josh was 3 or 4 months old, and he was a crier for about 6 to 8 weeks because he was a hungry baby. But me and Mark shared the feeding times as well. Mark was really good with that. But Mark was working away as well. So it will be like me on my own for the week. And I felt like I was going insane. And then the mum guilt kicked in going, I've wanted this baby for so long, but I wish he'd shut up. And literally, someone take him away from me. And thank God I had my mum and family and friends that were there. And we did get him fed well, and we put him on Hungry Baby. He was okay and he started sleeping, so that was okay. And then I just started noticing things around the house. I was back on top of being on, everything was in its place in the house. I started to get a little bit bored because it was like, oh God, is this my life? Just tidying up and feeding the baby? No, can't wait to get back to work. And then I went back to work when Josh was 8 months old.
You said a fair amount of time off them.
I didn't. Yeah, because I think mine was a little bit later than yours. So the good thing is with where I worked at the time, they had a really good maternity policy. But in that time I was off, I lost so much confidence. I felt like I'd lost part of me because I went back into work and I was working 4 10-hour days so that I could have a Monday off. But I was working long days. So that for the childcare, so my mum and dad were minding Josh for like those 4 days, and I'd be with him Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and it was a lot. It was long 10-hour days, and then when I got back to work, I didn't have that capacity, the mental capacity to keep going at it like I did prior to that. So then I felt like I had to hide things and take stuff home with me and go, oh, they're going to think because I've had a baby that I haven't got time for work anymore. So then you've got the guilt of people are going to think I'm shit in work. I've dropped, like, no one's going to give me any projects anymore. But at the same time, there was loads of other women having babies at the same time as me. So we all sort of felt like that, but we were all putting the mask on, pretending that we had it all together, and we didn't. Yeah. So we were all winging it. And then it wasn't until the mask slipped, and one day I just said, I can't do this anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do. And the boss at the time asked me to share where I was up to, and she said, that's okay. She said, well, let's just lighten the workload. But then that was great. But then I thought, she wants me to lighten the workload now because they want to get rid of me.
So all that self-doubt.
It's all that. So you're juggling the kids, the career, the house. Again, I'm not saying that it was just me. Mark was a really good help and support and partner, but he was working away. Then you don't see your friends as much. You don't really get to have time to yourself. And again, it goes back to the whole self-care piece. And juggling the kids and motherhood, and then all of the modern day things like traffic jams and reports and paying the bills, like who everybody else on the planet has to look at now. We've got so many things that we have to juggle. I mean, even top it and all that in now with social media, that's another stress for people.
God, yeah, because
the comparisonitis.
Yeah, literally. Mind you, we've learned, haven't we? But there are so many people that come to us that say, oh my God, the mask is slipping. And you've got to be grateful for that. And we just say, yeah, that's bloody brilliant for acknowledging it, because it's the acknowledgement of your mask slipping that's the first step. And then once you've acknowledged it, are you ready to do something about it? And if you are, then we can help you on your way with sorting that out, because there's a lot of belief stuff in there. Yeah. There's a lot of practical stuff, but once you've sorted the beliefs out, it frees up the space to get the practical stuff in order. The practical stuff really is a doddle, isn't it, once you've sorted everything else out?
It's going into that whole, and so going back to juggling as a woman, being a parent and being a career or businesswoman, as well as all of the other roles that we play in life, which again we've talked about in another episode about labels, is how do we then, as a society and as women and as parents, begin to let go of some of these balls, because some of them we need to identify and prioritize what's important to us. And what's important to me might not be important to somebody else, but really understanding about what is important to you and make sure that includes yourself, because we forget to include ourselves in that. And asking the questions of, okay, and who can I ask for help? Because that was a massive thing for me, is I always used to say, well, I can't ask for help because everybody else is busy, or I don't want to burden anyone, or they look busy too. Now, I had the help off my mum and dad with the kids, and they offered that. I never asked for that. And thank God they did offer, because I took them up on it. Yeah. If they hadn't have offered, I wouldn't have asked. But so for me, I have had to learn to ask for help. And when I do ask for help, I do receive it. And a lot of women don't ask.
Some people don't even think to ask. Some people, it wouldn't even occur to them to ask. So like you just said, you wouldn't ask because that's a pride thing. It wasn't about...
Because for me, it was seen as a bit of a weakness as well.
Of course.
Freely admit that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that right now.
And I think this also... The other important way to look at it is about perception, because perception is different for everyone. Perception is based on life experience, beliefs, your situation, your environment, all of the things. And there'll be some women that are quite happy to go to work and give the kids away for childcare, bring the nannies in and all the rest. And whatever works for them, that's absolutely fine. But for us, we did it all.
Yeah.
But we did it all to the point of burnout. And this is just so common. And we smashed all the balls to pieces.
To shit.
It all went to shit. Yeah.
But it shouldn't have to go to that.
It shouldn't, but it did. And that's why we're really passionate about helping people not get to that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I ignored everybody that said, you've got to slow down. You've got to slow down. It was like, what do you know? What do you know? I'm fine. I hate that word.
What does that mean?
You fucked up and in need of help. Love that.
And that was my friends always used to say, oh, Claire, you always say you're fine.
Yeah, it's a rubbish.
And then it got to that point, 38, and the glass balls dropped.
Well, whenever anyone says to us, I'm fine, we go,
yeah.
Soulmate client.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, because we go, no, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely not. So it is real. And then what's happening the other side of it, we've now got the older kids and we've got perimenopause. So the brain fog that we had before is now coming back with a vengeance.
And that's another episode, that one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Menopause and perimenopause. And men have something as well called the andropause, don't they? So that's just another, just
putting that in there.
Putting that in there. We'll have to do something on that.
So what is the purpose? What is the point that people prioritise? Some people have got it right. Some people prioritise from day one. They choose the 9 to 5. They choose the part-time. They stick to their hours and it works for them. And in some ways, I'm quite jealous of that. That's just not the way that I was made. But now, after all that learning and development and growth, I now have found the balance. But what is the point? How do we get those people that are heading for where we've been, which isn't pretty? How do we get them to listen?
Hopefully with this podcast. And we'll give them, I'm going to ask you, what would be your top 3 tips for creating space and freedom in your life before you do get to that bit? And what would your top 3 tips be from your experience?
I'd do a life audit. And again, that doesn't have to be, we do something similar called the Gears of Life, don't we? And it's basically looking at every part of your life compartmentalised and giving yourself a score out of 10 for each section. And it's quite thought-provoking because there's certain, and when we go through it with people, they go, oh my God, I never even thought about it like that. And then we identify the 3 lowest scores.
Yeah.
And choose which one we want to work on. And I think for us both being 5 energies, again, we'll explain that, but 5 energies are all about their save the day energy. They're here to bring solutions, which is no surprise that that's what we do, but we're also projected upon. So people will say, like you say, I'll give it to Claire, she's brilliant at that. Or, oh my God, what are we going to do? Phone Jules.
Yeah.
And we go, yes, okay then. And what we really want to be saying is, I'd rather boil my head. Thank you for the offer, but I politely decline. And so the first thing I would really do is look at your shoulds, your obligations, all of the things that you're saying yes to, when actually deep down, it's not something that you choose.
Yeah.
Because that exercise is the biggest freer-upper of space. It's probably the hardest one.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be concerned that people go, oh, well, if I don't do that, they might fall out with me. Or if I don't do that, they might think I don't care about them. Or I am selfish, or all of those things. And actually, you're in charge of your own life. And it's not your responsibility to bail everybody out. So that is one of the first points. And I think that is quite a quick exercise. I'm not saying it's quick to implement. There has to be a real desire to change. And the human design stuff that we do really helps put that into focus. And the second thing that I would say is carve out some of the day for you, even if that's just 5 minutes in the morning. If that's getting up 5 minutes earlier so that you can do meditation. Claire obviously taught me how to, you obviously taught me how to meditate, and it's part and parcel of my everyday practice. Yes, it falls off the wagon sometimes because I love sleep, and I think I'd rather have an extra 20 minutes in bed than meditate. I'll find another time to do it.
And again, that's what works for you, isn't it?
Exactly. But when people say I haven't got time for that, I just say, well, just show me your phone and show me what screen time you've got on that, because there's probably 6 to 8 hours. So many people have hours and hours on the phone scrolling, watching the laughing kittens and
laughing
daft buggers dancing and Shazbaz says and twerking. I mean, seriously. And so if you've got time to do that, you've got time to meditate.
Yeah. Or time to dance, sing, go outside for a walk. It's all of that, isn't it?
All of it. And the third thing I would say is do a radiator and drain audit. So make a list of all the things that you have in your life that really light you up, and make a list of all the things that drain the living daylights out of you, and make it a non-negotiable that in your diary every day there is something that lights you up, and then the task over time is to reduce the amount of drains in every day. And those 3 things, I think, are going to create so much space.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
And that thing with the drains, I know some of us, I think we've probably talked about this before, there's a lot of people in our lives that are in our family circle. Some of them might drain us. We're not saying to fall out with them and walk away completely, but it's around maybe see a little bit less of them, or make sure that you're in an outdoor environment with them so that you're not soaking up all their energy. And just because they're family doesn't mean you have to put up with it. I know that sounds quite harsh, but some people don't even know that they're drained. So it's that, how can you help them become more aware of how their energy is making others feel and helping them raise their vibration? But you're not here to do that for them. You're not here to fix people. None of us are.
I think for me, it's about being open and honest about that, and actually sharing the way that makes you feel. And you are
very honest, aren't you?
I am very honest, because I feel like, because like I said before, we're raised by people that were brought up in the 40s, right? Things were done differently then. We've got different pressures and different things going on, and different priorities, and our heads are full to capacity most times. And like I love my mum dearly. I literally, she's the most amazing woman. She's my hero. But she doesn't have a head full of the stuff that we've got. She's got a head full of all of us, all of her grandchildren, and she worries about every single one of them. But that's her pure focus. We've got probably about how many glass balls juggling in there?
In comparison.
And my mum's got mental authority, which means she's a sounding board. She needs a sounding board. So she'll say, what do you think of this? And she'll go, do you remember such and such? Died. And you go, oh, bless her. And like that. And do you remember, and do you know him? Cancer again. All right. And I said to her, Mum, do you know what? Sometimes I don't need to know that stuff.
Yeah.
I said, I know you want to share it, but it's sometimes really difficult to stay up.
Yeah.
And so when I come here, it's to see you, to spend time with you. And I don't really want to hear about other people's problems.
Yeah.
And actually, bless her, she's 77 now. She takes it on board.
Yeah.
And she doesn't. So that openness, people will fear that openness. But actually, if it's delivered in a way that's compassionate, if it's delivered in a way that's well-meaning, then there should be no reason why anyone would think anything other than that.
Yeah. And I get that because I've had those conversations with my dad, as you know.
Yeah.
And I think generational people, the age that they are, they're in the 70s, aren't they? So the people are dying, and it's in their world, and their perception is they're seeing stuff on the internet. They think the world's gone to a really dark place, and in part it has, but what you're looking at on social media creates that reality for you. So I know my dad went down a dark hole of thinking the world was like the worst place ever, and I said, it's all about the algorithms, Dad. What you're looking at is bringing more of that to you. So having that honest conversation with him went down a massive challenge and route, but that's created more openness, and I've showed him, you know what, let's spend time with friends and family, because when I'm with you, none of that stuff is going on, and this is the present moment, what we've got right now. So totally agree with what you're saying there. And I just wanted to go back to something, because me with me Open Head Centre, you said about when our mums and dads were born in the 1940s, 1950s, there's actually studies now to say that all of the information that our ancestors and you know, even like our relatives of late, the information that they took in a lifetime, we take in a week.
Doesn't surprise me.
In today's world. So the information that all of us take in a week through televisions, through screens, everything that's going on in the world, we're taking in 1 week what our ancestors took in their lifetime. So that's why so many of us are stressed, because the actual nervous system is absolutely shot to pieces with it.
Well, evolution's not caught up, and our nervous system is still as it was. Yeah, exactly that.
And so that's why we're so passionate about making sure that if you do have a lot of stuff to juggle, make sure it's stuff that you prioritise and that you choose to juggle. And
create clear boundaries.
Yeah.
That's really important as well, especially for a 5-8. Well, it's important for everybody, but it's...
Boundaries and expectations.
Yeah, it's so important. And just by stating them, and it's just that communication piece is huge, because even when you've kept quiet about stuff at home to keep the peace, actually once you articulate what it is doing to you, then some people don't even know. They go, oh, we didn't even realise.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've gone off on a juggle, haven't we?
We have gone off on a juggle. But the point was, we really wanted to make a point around, it doesn't have to, this modern day living doesn't have to stress us out. We can find ways of finding the balance, which is what you said before about the life audit, all of the stuff around meditation. There's so many things that you can choose to take away, and we will leave some of the links to our resources, our free resources, in the episode notes as well.
I think the other thing just to add that's just come to me now is that Mark used to say to me, somebody else's 100% is your 40%.
Yeah.
And actually, if you're always striving for 100%, life's going to be really, really challenging. If let's strive for 80% and actually achieve that every day, then that's going to be, you're just going to feel content and satisfied with that. Or teach yourself to be content and satisfied with that, knowing that actually your 80% is so much more than the people that you're around in the workplace.
And that just sparked another thing on that percentage scale around Brené Brown, and we can finish on this. Brené Brown talked about that, and in being in a partnership, that it was something around, oh yeah, it's 50-50 in a relationship. You give 50, I give 50. She was like, no, it's not. She said, because some days it's literally, it could be you give 80, your partner gives 20. Other days it could be you give 40, they give 60, because you can't always be what you've just said, that full percent all of the time, because it depends what's going on. So noting again the relationships and your partners, and are you always given 100% and you're not getting anything back? That's seeing who your radiators and who your drains are, isn't it? Again,
including the workplace.
Including the workplace, absolutely. So on that note, we're hoping that you do juggle the balls, that you do prioritise them, and that some of those balls will drop, but the ones that are really important to you and priority to you, then you can keep on juggling them.
Of course. And then if anyone wants any help with keeping the balls aloft,
I'm just looking, you've got some balls behind you.
Have I?
Yeah, look, glass balls.
Oh, I'm blessed. I'm blooming blessed I am. Then just reach out.
Yeah.
Reach out
via our website. It's spaceandfreedom.com, and all of our links are on there. And thank you for listening to this podcast. It's love and light from me.
I can't cope. And it's Sarah for me.